Hello everyone, very happy evening to all. I'm once again welcoming you to the Episode webinars today. My thoughts which I have known about addiction, chemistry of addiction. May I mention here that drug addiction, not only going to speak about the drugs alone, the addictions are, there are more types of addiction. Depends, some may be addicted to drugs, some may be addicted to alcohol or some other things, alcohol based things, some other addicted nicotine based things, some other persons based to uh, even the person is addicted to some kinds of food comes under. So mention the topic that the chemistry of drug addiction. We are going to discuss. I'm going to share the opinions which I have share the things which I have known about addiction. See, the first thing about the drug addiction. Not only drug, here we have mentioned the drug, the addiction. Whenever the started to consume a thing, yeah, it may be a favorite food, or a medicine, or alcohol, or anything which is liked by the most liked by them. That depends on the that crosses over the stage of process called cross over the three stages of process. The body of the person going to be addicted cross the three stages called tolerance, sensitization, and dependence withdrawal. The tolerance means I have given the detailed explanation here. Pharmacodynamic tolerance begins with the cellular response to the substance is reduced with the repeated usage. Many one knows about this kind of tolerance in human body, because when we are consuming a medicine for a long period of time, our body will reduce the response to that kind of drug or medicine or anything else. After that, we have to consume more amount uh, to make our get a response from our body. How the percentage of uh, of drugs increased. So that's how the patient is addicted to the thing. Some drugs or some sedatives or painkillers prescribed by doctors or majorly by the physicians will be in a certain limit, will be in a certain dosage, amount of in certain amount of gram or in parts or milligram in amount. If it crosses the limit, that will lead to the addiction. That happens by the pharmacodynamic tolerance only. As I said above, the response will be whenever the response is reduced, we started to take more amount, more grams of for getting a good response. We become addicted to that sensitization. This is the opposite process as a above process. Increased effect of drug following repeated dosages. This will have a different effect. Actually, this will affect the changes. This will affect, have some major effect in brain. Actually, tolerance will have some major effects in brain. These what are these changes in drug sensitizations are brain mesolimbic dopamine transmission, as well as the protein inside mesolimbic neurons called delta OSB. These transmissions, these receptors are affected by this process called drug sensitization. To this, the effect of drug is due to these processes and all, the effect of drug in a person's body will be high. Persons to consume more amount of drugs or alcohol, whatever anything doses. So this makes the another type of addiction. Then the drugs of dependence. See, these described as prescription medicine that have recognized as therapeutic need, but also have a high potential risks for misuse. As like said above, if thing control in a controlled amount in a specified amount is a medicine, above that limit it will lead to a addiction. So these are the stages cross before the addiction, but these are not only the causing factor for the drug addiction. That is also, but also mainly by the drug-induced changes in reinforcement in our brain. Changes led to the tolerance, sensitization, and dependence in reward reinforcement mechanism. We'll see it about the in detail in later slides. See the addictive process or depend on these types. See, as I have said in the earlier itself, when I'm starting it itself, the addictions are different. Substance of abuse, additives, opioid-based painkillers and stimulants, alcohol, and non-chemical addictions. That is gambling, tanning beds, and food of high sugar and fat contents. So we think that I like this type of food. I like the type of food consuming at a excessive amount means that is also addiction. That is not chemical based. That is also addiction, but not fully chemically based addiction. These are fully chemical based, medicine based addictions. Relatives are the ones which is prescribed by the doctors for to increase the sleep, to give the sleep to persons to who are suffering from the sleep disorders, and opiate based painkillers. Yes, opioid is given for the, yeah, given as the painkillers for the patients. Then stimulants, caffeine, nicotine, kind, then amphetamines. These are used as a these are behaving as a stimulants in the our nervous system. Then alcohol. See, here are some of the structures of the addictive chemicals used excess in. Here we have given as ethanol. Ethanol is nothing but alcohol, as everyone knows it. Here is the structure of nicotine and heroin, everything. Then the chemistry of addiction. Um, Chemistry of addiction. We have addicted to some things because of because not only mentally we need us, some physical changes in our body on a excess time of usage or depends on the medicine you have consumed. As I have said earlier, the tolerance effect, the drug dependence effect, sensitization effects. So involve that is the making the person to addicted to certain types of. It's not only uh, the alcohol, everything. The what happening when we started consuming these type of drugs is neural transmission involves neurotransmitter presynaptic release, receptor binding, neurotransmitter binding site release, and neurotransmitter degradation or re. Initially, it will, that is the neurotransmitter pre and receptor binding is that is the compound, the drug which we try to bind or present in our body. Binding site release, then it will convert to some other type of compound in our blood system and degradation and uptake. See, in this process, every drug will behave differently. Example, cocaine will behave different, bind differently to a receptor, or heroin will bind differently, and mechanism of action of caffeine will work differently on the nervous system. How they easily bind your body, because small amount or in minimum amount, they are used as a medicine to cure certain types of disorder or disease. So it will be a human body compatible, maybe a blood compatible or a nervous system. It will be compatible to our human body. So our body will easily accept, it so easily bind to the receptor and transporter and enzyme actives as it looking like a natural substrate itself. We can see that cocaine or heroin, most of the drugs are taken from the natural compounds, naturally existing compounds itself. So it have a structure, natural substrates. Usually the natural substrates are easily absorbed by your body than the uh, uh, artificially produced or lab made substrates. So it is easily bind with the receptors, transporters, and enzyme active sites. And the impact of drug depends on, yes, the some will be impact of drug means the some persons will affected by some kind of drug. It's like some will be attracted by some kind of drugs. Usually, some will be attracted to you consume alcohol. Some will attracted to use drugs. Some will attract specifically to a stimulant, specifically to a opioid, specific to some other things. So it is based on the how it interact with our in the receptors. What are the factors that determines the strength of binding? That strength of binding is also decided by the shape and positioning of functional group, hydrogen bonding, salt bridge, base stacking, pi-cation interaction, hydrophobic context, conformational rigidity, and ability to pass through the hydrophobic barrier. So these are the some technical terms, biochemical terms, which are the reason for the addiction. Addiction also correlates with the neuroplasticity and FOSB accumulation, which involve the chronic usage, at least partially due to the rapid reward. Actually, uh, addiction is also related to uh, chronic usage also. Addiction not only comes from 1 day or 2 day, prolonged days, not prolonged days time for the addiction. It is due to the rapid reward. We'll discuss about the term the rapid reward in later slides. Chemistry of addiction, how it react with the human body, easily react with the human body. Chemistry of addiction. Substance that in detail, opiates, morphine, heroin, oxytocin, Visodin, as everyone or will be known to this, and cocaine and amphetamine and drug likes MDMA, PCP, marijuana. This is a natural existing compound. Tobacco, nicotine is also taken from plant, and alcohol, sedative and hypnotics. Sedative and hypnotics, barbiturates and benzodiazepines are the drugs that is prescribed by the medical practitioners or physicians for the reduce the sleep disorder in a patient, but on a continuous usage or an excess intake will lead to addiction and addiction and substance abuse. In the how the enzyme brain react when we are consuming drug. Apart from tolerance, dependence, and addiction, there are some psychological factors, psychological changes, and chemical contributions also. These are the other things, especially the chemical contribution is very much higher than the psychological factors or psychological changes. Psychological factors or changes will contribute for maybe a 10 to or 20%, but maximum work is done by the chemical contributions only. These basic mechanisms, another basic mechanism which is used for, which is involved in drug addiction. See, there is a difference between, in this slide, I'm just saying that there is a difference between addiction and using. There will be some persons, there are some persons using the alcohol for a prolonged use time, but they are not addicted to that. Everything is like that. Many will be using the sedatives or the painkillers for a long period of time, but they are not addicted to it, but they are continuously using, but without that also they can live. That is not a kind of addiction. That will lead to a stage of addiction if these factors exist: stress level or genetic background and other biological factors, environment, and social context in which the drug use is occurring. And the neurobiological base of drug addiction is addiction, as I earlier, addiction is associated with several type of long-lasting abnormalities. Addiction can't be done in 1 day or 2 day or a 1 week or a 1 month. It takes a prolonged time. That's a long-lasting abnormalities induced in the brain reward region by repeated exposure to the drug of abuse. These are some major neurobiological process: reduced response to natural rewards, response to drugs of abuse and associated cues, impact cortical control, more primitive reward pathways. In later slides, we can see how the natural reward works. What is reward and reinforcement? Positive emotional effect. Why the basically so to say it in a single line, why a person is consuming a drug or alcohol or a food liked by them? Dopamine, the happiness hormone secreted by the brain whenever they are doing this. Whenever they are doing these things, the consuming drugs or consuming alcohols, whatever may be this, the dopamine secreted more secreted. So the brain will basically tends the temptate the persons to consume more and more amount of drugs, alcohol, or the food liked by them, or any drugs of abuse. But naturally, the dopamine will be created. That will take another different pathway. That is take a normal pathway, produce the dopamine. But when the drugs of abuse or a thing which is not good for health is consumed, that time the dopamine is consumed, produced, means that will have a different mechanism of pathway, different mechanism to in the word called reward. The reward by the dopamine by the brain to the body, that gives a happiness to a person to consume the more and more amount of, I think, drugs of abuse. reinforcement. Initially, the reward is given when first time is that is consumed. Then the reinforcement, a stimulus that causes a response to maintained and increased. To get the dopamine level maintained and increased, it is the brain is giving the stimulus to consume the same product again and again. See, the positive reinforcement, that is increased behavioral response to a positive reward. The food liked by us or anything else. Then negative responses, increased behavioral response to end punishment. See, this is a negative reinforcement explained in another way called which is not good for our health. Which is the things which will differs the mechanism of working of our body, our nervous system, everything. So there is a negative reinforcement which is given by the drugs of abuse. The positive reinforcement will be given by the things which is which not only good, that is which maintains our body health a good way and also maintain the working mechanism of body in a right way. See, why chronic use, why the continuous use, why we are continuously tempted to use that, like as I have said earlier, the reinforcement, speed of reward delivery contributes to the effectiveness of rewards. In the, for example, when we are consuming these type of drugs of use or alcohol, the reward of the speed of reward, that is the speed of creation of dopamine level is higher than the normal things. So the speed of delivery of contributes to the more to consume the drugs of abuse to that person. And also in choosing between the immediate and delayed reward. Yes, as the brain is getting the immediate one from these drugs of abuse and these based things, so the brain is tempted to use these only comparative to the that is given by the good foods or good that is due to the positive reinforcement by chronic use. Reward rate is addictive, enters the brain more rapidly, but activates the same receptor as addictive as the less addictive morphine. See, comparatively, the heroin and the morphine is also different pathway. Heroin is more addictive than the morphine because heroin is rapidly works than the morphine to get the pleasure, to get the dopamine secreted, to feel happy, received earlier than using these itself. Then the administration method also matters. Nicotine reaches the brain faster and when tobacco is smoked. So nicotine will be reached when it is smoked than when the leaf is chewed or nicotine itself given by the dermal nicotine patch. Comparative to the leaf chewing, it will reaches to the brain faster than when it is smoked. Or intravenous cocaine reaches the brain faster than intranasal or oral routes due to the greater addictive potency. See, there is a different mechanism of working for different kind of, like for nicotine, it is when smoking, it reaches brain faster. Then for cocaine, it reaches the brain fast. IV that is injected or smoked, it will be reached our brain faster than other routes. So the working mechanism of a different drug is different. Intake of brain is also different. So that also makes person to choose the which one to choose to get the more pleasure immediately. See, this is when the reward circuit, that is dopamine, is where the dopamine is secreted, the happy hormone is secreted in our body. This is the structure of dopamine. This is the part of brain, mental area, that is VTA. The area the dopamine is produced. See, the area involved in planning complex cognitive behaviors, and the pleasure center. This is the pleasure center, and this is the emotion center. So, based on the cognitive behaviors and emotional and pleasure centers, we are taking the decisions, and it makes the our behavioral change. The working mechanism of this part of brain guides the our behaviors, the human behavior. So when the drugs of abuse is consumed, affect this part of the brain, the cognitive behavior part, then the plus center, and also the emotion. See, this is also the same thing. That's why drugs of abuse is easily attacking the human. See, this is a simple thing. Whatever when role of dopamine in mammals, information is the placing of the element. You know, different type of chemicals. That is the different types of drugs combined in a different way. For example, cocaine different way. Often will combine in a different way. Combine in a different way with the receptors. See, this is the another important fact. Simple biochemical mechanism affected by the uh, drugs of abuse. OSB accumulates in nucleus accumbens and dorsal striatum, regions important for addiction. So these are the brain region which is important for the addiction after repeated use of many acts of abuse. Of compulsive behaviors on a repeated use of many drugs of abuse in this region of that is the importance for addiction. These range part of brain that will tend to change in our behavior, try to make the changes in our behavior. Actually, the brain is the thing which regulates the temperature, emotion, decision making, and everything in our body. It's a major part. Under the influence of powerful and harmful chemical like the heroin or benzodiazepines alter the function of the brain. I am saying that it is not only the psychological that is the reason for the addiction. Factor is also drugs of abuse. The affects the certain brain, specifically the dopamine produced part, that is VTA, and the addiction depending part. The drug interact with the limbic system in the brain to release strong feel good emotions. Yes, that is strong feel good emotions, that is dopamine, in which affects our body. We have the same thing is said on a continuous usage. The body will to tempt us to take it in a continuous way. Sure, the some of the heroin based drugs. Heroin is simply this thing. Then monoacetyl heroin, morphine. This is the another form of morphine. Codeine, oxycodone, and hydrocodone. These are the other. These are the opt-out forms that is given as the painkillers by the medical practitioners or physicians. This opioid will bind to the opioid receptor morphine salt bridge. It will bind to the in this type of mechanism. Actually, this morphine based compounds will bind as like this type with the receptors. Then the psychostimulants. These are the psychostimulants. Psychostimulants are the ones which are given or prescribed by the doctors to make a specific change in the behavior of a person. These are the things that is sign or a cation, pigeon, methylphenidate. These are the things that is given to that. This works is the cocaine. Actually, cocaine will affect in a different way. That is a there is an anesthetic given in a minimum amount. That is an appetite suppressant, which is act as it simultaneously act as the reuptake inhibitor for serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, and blocking the action of these transporters. Actually, this is what I have said. They will produce the happy enzymes called doped enzymes, but not in a normal pathway, as like normal reward way behavior. It will different mechanism. And why? That's why by cocaine is working by blocking action of the dopamine transmitter. See, these are the another based on the cocaine, dopamine, serotonin. See, this is how the cocaine will bind with the protein. Protein is nothing but receptors. Receptors are made of amino acids only. This is a cocaine binding mechanism in our body. And these type of neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, these will behave in a different way. Stimulates the locomotor effects, psychosis, and this will behave in a different way. That is a main difference is increase the synaptic levels of neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and has a alpha, beta, and adrenergic agnostic effects. See the nicotine, one of the third most widely used psychoactive drugs. Effect and these are the is given for the death due to the cigarette smoking. Second is the cigarettes or nicotine through cigarettes when the 8th, 10th, 12th grade students. So this shows that everyone, even the students, is also consuming that. This mechanism of action is initially it will occupies and activates the nicotinic sites. Low doses stimulate the receptors, high doses block the receptors. Of risk of dopamine reinforcement, that is negative reinforcement, and the memory losing. So these are the things how the nicotine works in the body. How the nicotine is binding with the acetylcholine binding protein. That is one of the receptor present in our body, and the nicotine. How the nicotine is bind with that receptor in our body. Sedatives, barbiturates, benzodiazepines. So these are the things which is given to the persons who are having the sleep disorders, prescribed by the medical practitioners or doctors. This is how they behave with the body. Especially they will bind to nearby sites and facilitate GABA and with the flooding the neurons with CL, inhibiting neural actions. Actually, these things will prevent from the normal neural actions to the abnormal neural actions. And alcohol pharmacodynamics, glutamate receptors affect the glutamate receptors and GABA receptors and opioid receptors. So ethanol inhibits the responsive receptors to glutamate, and so many things like many receptors. Previously, we have studied that more than 100 receptors are present in our body. Uh, they are actually easily these drugs of abuse will bind with the receptors only. Initially, they will bind with the receptors only. So, depend on the type of drugs of abuse, the receptors affected is decided. Again, the serotonin receptor, the alcohol will affect the serotonin receptors also. As I have given here, serotonin receptors will the serotonic activity. Then helps us we start with the 5-HT2 and 5-HT3, and reuptake inhibiting depressants. Actually, the depression or stress, that's why the brain is easily addicted to it. Then cannabinoids and the endocannabinoids is another type of uh, drugs drugs of abuse which is less known. See, the factors so far that we have seen is how the drugs will interact different kinds of receptor, how it will and how it affects the dopamine producing property and the normal of the person. Therapies for addiction. Basically, the biofeedback is given along with the cognitive theory, cognitive behavioral therapy. Sorry, not theory, therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy and dialectical behavioral therapy. Biofeedback, that is EEG, encephalograms, improves the individual involuntary functions like heartbeat, blood pressure, and muscle contraction. Yes, previously, as I have said, it is a reversible change only. Drugs of abuse is a change if we take a proper medication. So thank you for listening patiently so far. If you have questions, means don't hesitate to ask. Now the session is open for the questions. I think no questions from the audience. Thank you once again for the patient listening. Thank you one and all. Bye. Now we will meet in another new session.